There
Boom.
we go.
All right. I'm
Yeah.
back. I'm back with Genuine Class. You guys may remember that we did a stream like a month ago or so. Genuine Class
Hmm.
is from Twitter. Uh, I just consider you like a genius film critic, basically. I kind of started following you for that reason, and and
Thanks.
and even to give people the little intro is like, yeah, like even understanding that film criticism can be like cool. I only figured that out like a year or two ago because yeah, for the longest time, I saw a tweet actually like a few weeks ago, and it was Pauline Kael kind of making fun of criticism, and she's like, "All it is like people on TV making puns about the movie title," and I'm like,
Yeah,
"Oh
pretty
my
much.
god,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah!" Like, and I always like I'd like yeah, like Roger Ebert or two thumbs up. I'm like, okay,
Uh,
so if you're trying to review a movie yourself, you're like, okay, two thumbs up. But then yeah,
mm.
you were doing it, and then kind of looking back, I discovered it late, but she was doing it where they're like psychoanalyzing the creator, psychoanalyzing like the culture around it or the society
Mhm.
trends
Yeah.
around it, and like almost like anthropologists or whatever. And I'm like, that is very interesting stuff, and it can be very useful if you're a writer and you're trying to like unlock some of this stuff. And we haven't talked about this, but there is like paths from like critic to artist that have worked in the past. Like what like French New Wave was like that, right? Do you know
Yeah.
you know more than me maybe?
Yeah. 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 Those guys were like, totally critics first, and then like filmmakers and stuff. Yeah, they had like a whole film movie. I'm not like the biggest expert on the new wave, but I like all those guys. I like their movies for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you almost count Tarantino like that? Like he was a critic and then he made a movie?
Um, I mean, I guess no, I would say no because he wasn't like a professional critic. Like he didn't do it professionally. He just did it in the video store that he worked at.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so I would say he actually was a filmmaker first, but he's kind of gone from filmmaker to critic. I think that's how I would classify him.
Oh yeah, he's like the
Like,
reverse. Yeah. And
mhm.
this comes up too, but so there is also this like super negative thing about critics that everyone kind of knows or whatever, but there's an archetypal evil critic named Ellsworth Toohey, which we talked about
Yeah, yeah,
um the book Fountainhead last time we chatted. We were talking a little bit about that. But yeah, you invoked Ellsworth Toohey on a tweet last week. I was like, I understand that reference. Yes. I'm sure it's like getting a little more like less and less people might know, but yeah, he's like evil critic who just wants to
mhm.
control the culture kind of. And so yeah, that is not what we're trying to do if we do any criticism. Obviously, there's like I feel
Right,
like there's like
exactly.
white hat critics. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Because like Edward Toohey's like whole thing was to like he loved mediocrity, and that I think that does describe a lot of critics like right now, especially like we're like somebody said we're in like a golden age of bad writing about film, and it's kind of true. I mean, aside from like I think certain people on Letterboxd, it's like it's pretty tepid as far as like I mean maybe it's always been, but when you go back and like read guys like Robert Warshaw or James Agee, I mean those guys were brilliant minds, writing about film and had like a real interest in the way that like, an audience interacted with the movie, I and so yeah, we don't really have that now. It's a lot of like just political battles and um a lot of like even like people I like, I think are reacting too much to other people's positions rather than engaging with the work itself, which is what you're supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? Like it becomes like, okay, well, this community or whatever says this, and then this, so I'm going to say the opposite of that. When it's like, no, no,
Yeah,
what is your opinion? How do you feel about how did you respond to the movie itself? You know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
otherwise
yeah,
it just becomes politics. So sorry. Okay,
yeah. Because
continue.
you want to try to stay like above that if you can, and yeah, you're kind of
Hmm.
falling into the same trap if you're like, well, the people that I hate like it, therefore I dislike it. Like
Yeah.
you're getting a little bit into like the anthropological observations, which are interesting, but you're falling into it too. So the goal is to like at least fake it till you make it about like being above it. And yeah, you
Yeah.
named two critics in there where I was like, dude, I got to read them because yeah, as far as it being
Mhm.
rare, it is like For me, it's literally.
Sorry. I was gonna
Oh,
say Robert Warshaw. He's really interesting to read. He actually, it's real tragedy. He died very early, but he was one of the, like, he actually wrote about like comic books and stuff back, like at a time when like not many people were doing that. And yeah, he's a real that book. The book of his, The Immediate Experience, is a very good read. Yeah, I think you could probably still get it relatively cheap. But I do recommend that book. It's good.
sweet. I'll definitely straight up read that. I'll have you like
Mhm.
DM it to me later or something. Um,
Okay.
so another thing too, we'll come back to this visual here, everyone. By the way, we got 8 people watching. This is kind of the early
Okay.
part of the show while people are filter in, but we are going to
Mhm.
talk a little bit of Star Trek, a little bit of Andy Weir,
Mhm.
and we'll see where it goes up. Plenty of possible tangents and stuff. I think it will be interesting and kind of focused. But so I'm drinking though. I have this like this non-alcoholic IPA. I have these left over because my
Yeah.
dad drinks them and he was over, so I bought some for him, and then they've been in the fridge. I've been drinking them, and I'm like, it's like you don't get drunk, but you get all the calories. It's like the worst of both worlds.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I don't know.
I basically don't drink anymore. I mean, I'm way out of my 20s, and like that was when it was the most fun. And I'm like, I'm getting old, and I got to watch out for my health now. So it's like, I
Yeah,
guess alcohol's out. But
there's a
but
part.
we don't. I did really enjoy drinking and smoking when I could, but I mean
Yeah,
cigarettes. I was sort of, yeah, but yeah, that was a lot of fun.
y- yeah. There's like it's like 29 or something. You'll have your first hangover where you're like,
Mhm.
"What the hell is this? I feel like I'm dying." And then
Yeah,
yeah,
your body just goes like, nah, that's enough. It's
yeah, and from there
and
it's a slow. Yeah, for me, I
mm,
quit drinking. I may dabble again in the next 10 years. We'll see. But and I
mm,
drink like I went to a convention last year in North Carolina. I drank there, but I kind of quit drinking 5 years ago, and I quit because I hit my own version of rock bottom because I I was like fat basically. I went to the doctor and they're like,
mhm,
nothing's wrong with you. I was like, I feel like I might have some blood sugar shit, like pre-diabetic or something. They're like,
mhm.
no, you're fine, but let me just weigh you. They weighed me and I was 212, which in high school I was 160, and I'm like I'm
Mhm.
5'11. So I was like, shit, I'm fat. And then that
Yeah.
that was my rock bottom, and I quit drinking from that. But
Mhm.
so that's my advice to
Yeah.
anyone: if you want to quit something, just hit rock bottom, and then you can,
Yeah.
as
That
long as it
always
doesn't kill
helps.
you.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah. Phil
But
says,
yeah,
I quit drinking 30 years ago. Phil never drinks. Phil is like, he's a writer. I'm like, maybe
mhm,
you should drink a little bit for the writing experience, for like the human experience to know. But who knows? Or that's like doing acid. Like, I don't know if it
mhm.
helps or not. But
Yeah, I don't
I
think
did
it
one.
does. I don't sorry. I'm a
Yeah.
big believer in that, like, drugs is like a cop out as far as like creativity and stuff. It's like I don't think it makes people more creative at all. I think it's just I think it's like a weird masochistic thing dudes have, especially men have, where it's like, oh, I can't be creative. I gotta like, I if I do, like they can't deal with themselves like being creative, so it has to like they have to like I dropped acid and I have to get I can't write without the alcohol. It's like yeah, you can, you can do it. You're all right. You don't need it.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
it's
Like,
just
what would
like
it be like? Your books might be better if you didn't. In all the cases, you think like Philip K. Dick or whatever. But
mhm,
there's an anecdote. I know you're
mhm.
kind of into Stephen King. I am too. And like
Yeah,
pros and cons even. But he says that he doesn't remember writing Cujo because he was on
yeah.
coke and booze the whole
He was
time.
like he was like blacked out drunk the entire time. Yeah, it's funny
Yeah.
too. Like when I look back at his old books, I can clearly tell it's a guy on cocaine writing it because it's so like it's four like 4 paragraphs to describe like a cheeseburger or something. You know what I mean? And it's like okay, you can maybe move this along, but it's pretty awesome though when he gets like with something like It or The Stand, where it almost becomes like The Stand almost becomes like entrancingly boring in a way. Like it's I do like those books, but I think his best books actually were the shorter ones that he wrote when he was like around 18 or so. Like Carrie, I think is good. I like Salem's Lot a lot. Like I like the Bachman books. I really actually like that movie, The Long Walk that just came out, which is based on one of his older Bachman books, kind of things he
Oh
wrote.
yeah.
And like he also wrote a school shooter novel, which he like purposefully took off the market because like they were finding it in kids' lockers, and stuff who had like done shooting. But it's a good book too. It's called Rage. Um, yeah, I like
Oh
that one a
damn.
lot too.
Yeah, yeah, I'd want to
Yeah.
check those out. You know what one I read too? Yeah, it was like maybe it was the first book he ever wrote, supposedly, but it was the first Dark
Hmm.
Tower book. Then later he went back and did the whole series all gussied up. But the first book is like super minimalist, and it is like weird. It
Hmm.
feels like written by a really smart high schooler, kind of like is and someone that's
Yeah.
like amateurish, but it's like awesome.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's really yeah. He did yeah. He's like his like sensory recall detail and recall is like totally unique. I don't think anybody's ever really done that. But I mean, I think his new books are pretty awful. Like it's just really bad, and I can't really like stomach them that much. Like well, I don't know. I think I tried to read like the Institute or something, and I was like, this is like the writing in it is so he always like now okay, he does this weird thing where he like has characters talk in like baby talk, or like he thinks baby talk is like slang. Where like in his older books that used to be a sign that someone was like crazy, like Annie Wilkes in Misery, like what she would do, like you cockadoodie brat, like that was like that she was a little crazy. But now it's like he just has everybody kind of talk like that, and you're like, what is going on? Like what why are you saying these things, like these weird colloquialisms that like I think he just makes up, and it's like I hate it. I really hate
Yeah, yeah.
it.
And he's
But
like he's like 80 now. He's like
yeah.
probably cooked a
Mm.
little bit. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. I,
I always wonder like who like can who kind of stays strong as they get older. Like even I
mm,
kind of think even Clint Eastwood, he was supposedly making movies when he's 90, but I'm like I
mhm.
suspect like he's like maybe on set, but I don't know what he's even doing, or
Yeah, I,
um
I have to say, I thought Clint's last like couple of movies were pretty great. I love The Mule. I thought that was great. I liked Sully a lot. So like those are like definitely worth checking out. And
yeah.
then his
Well,
his
so shit.
uh
Well, I haven't seen those, so
mhm,
maybe he's one of the ones. But I saw a
yeah,
birthday picture of him, and I was like, oh man, he looks so old.
yeah,
Scorsese's
he's
super
he's getting
old.
up there.
You know what they
Yeah,
said that there's rumors that John Carpenter they're gonna make The Thing too, and I don't know
yeah,
about that. I'm like, yeah, I hope that's good, but I want the old guys to get one last chance because that's been fun,
yeah.
like some of these movies, but
Mhm.
um, I don't hold up too much hope for many of them, but yeah.
Yeah, I know. I actually do prefer that these guys make movies instead of like not, just I mean, like, okay, if they start to get bad, it's like, well, let's watch you get bad. Let's see what happens. Like let's see what that's
Yeah,
like, because
yeah.
it's a good lesson. You can learn a lot from somebody getting bad. It's like, but like George Miller is like was like what was he like really old when he did Fury Road, and he's like pushing 80 at least. So like yeah, there's a lot of like that is one of the things about Hollywood now. It just seems like everybody's so old in Hollywood now. So it's like a little bit like I don't know. Like where are the like the really like firebrand like young guys? Like where's the young Spielberg or Scorsese or whatever? It's
Yeah.
like yeah, like
Well,
those
yeah,
those
you know
guys
what?
were.
There's like a
Go ahead.
thing we could talk a little bit about this is like
Hmm.
I think this kind of happened in comics. So the timeline because this is I'm going to put up the graphic. This is loosely related to
Hmm.
the Star Trek thing. So part of the Star Trek thing
Hmm.
is Alex Kurtzman who's running the new Star Trek like franchise
Hmm.
kind of into the ground. When I think that's true. It's not just like
Hmm.
people who don't like it are
Yeah.
saying that. But
Hmm.
he was a part of a duo. It was Kurtzman and Ortsy. I might have mentioned this the last
Hmm.
time we chatted too. And they got brought in by J.J. Abrams, so they were doing some stuff for him. And this is like circa 2008 or something. And I think they were on
Yeah.
Lost, all three of them. That might be where it all
Hmm.
started. Then they branched into movies. And yeah, I started noticing their names. I was like, every movie they're on was terrible. And I was like, who are
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
guys that are
Yeah.
bad? But there's one
Yeah.
example was like Cowboys and Aliens was like that movie sucked and
Yeah.
they wrote it, Kurtzman and Ortsy, and I'm like, oh my god, they're the worst. And then yeah, they keep kind of failing upwards, and then
Mhm,
then all the woke stuff happens, and they survive that too. And so kind of my theory is
mhm,
like shit was already bad before woke stuff. Shit was we were kind of screwed either way. And then the woke stuff happened. They
mhm,
almost use it as cover. And this happened in comics a little bit too. It's like I feel like comics, the last generation who's like younger Gen X, and then woke stuff happens. So the younger Gen X people, then there's kind of older Gen X people. The older Gen X people were like geniuses, and then the younger Gen X
Hmm.
people weren't. They were just okay. And then the woke stuff
Hmm.
happens, and they kind of all like hunker down and pull the ladder up behind them, and they're like, "Yeah, I'll play by the rules if you don't kick me out." Like whatever.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
it's
like
a
so,
little,
that
yeah, it's like,
happened in Hollywood and comics, yeah. And these Kurtzman and Orsi guys,
yeah.
people like failing upwards. So then this like kind of mid generation talent wise is like they're the new old people on the block, the new like people running
Mm.
everything. And it's just like there is, yeah. Rob Liefeld pointed out in comics, yeah. There's from like 40 to 20 or 40 down. Like every pro is like 40 or older. There's a few
Hmm.
examples where that's not the case now. It's changing just a little bit, but yeah, you kind of
Yeah.
wonder where. But for movies, it's like Gen Z's kind of coming in with the YouTube stuff, but it's not like
Hmm.
super good yet. Like I hope that will happen too. Like that
Hmm.
like yeah, I don't know if there's a comparison to yeah like a young Spielberg yet really.
Yeah, I mean, like he was directing movie, he was directing TV when he was like 18 years old, you know. So it's like yeah, there's nobody like that. I also think there's not with movies, maybe there's not really a lot of incentive anymore to be like a kind of auteurist, like direct. Like I think a lot of the appeal of like those guys coming in was like that we're going to be auteurs, you know, and we're going to like really put our vision on screen. And then with like franchise filmmaking, it's just not like there's just not that appeal. Like there's not the prestige of it anymore. I think because it's like, well, you can work and stuff or try to make your movie, but then they're just going to make like a movie like after that in the same like it's part of a franchise, so it's going to be like they'll just reverse what you did. Like anything difficult you wanted to put in your movie, they're going to like reverse it or remake it. So I just think a lot. I think maybe like the talent, a lot of the talent who would have like maybe been filmmakers, uh, now went off into like technology or some other form. You know what I mean? I don't think that like that the people who want to make movies now are like
Yeah, that's a
in that
good
same like
point.
category. Yeah.
Yeah, like where are the smartest people going? And
Hmm.
I guess yeah, even that generation that everyone talks about, I forget what they're called, but yeah, it's like uh Scorsese and Spielberg and
I've heard them
all
called
those
the,
guys.
I've heard them called like the movie brats, but I've never really like that
Y-
term. But
Yeah,
yeah, like
and De Palma, and De Palma's
new
like
Hollywood. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
our circles on Twitter. De Palma's everyone's favorite, which I agree with. Yeah, he's awesome.
Mm, yeah.
But
Yeah,
but
De Palma's my friend has this funny story about like because he went to like film school or art school. And it's like you really had to defend De Palma from people. Like people hate De Palma, like you know what I mean. But like he's one of those guys who's like
yeah,
really controversial. But I love him. I think De Palma's great. I think he's like one of the like really like maybe the most daring and like radical of like those new Hollywood guys, you know. And he's
yeah,
still like he still like hasn't really the closest he came to like actually selling it was that movie Redacted. And like that's because he just like that's a little bit like of a limousine liberal kind of movie, you know. But like, man, if you watch like even if you don't like Passion or what's that one he did with the last one he did Domino, like those movies are like kind of based, man. Like those are really like there's stuff in there that like it's like I couldn't believe he like went for and so it's like I like seeing that. I hope isn't the last. You know, he's gonna. This will probably his next movie. I think he's got one he's preparing, and like that'll probably be his like last movie. You know, because he's pretty up there. But I hope that's great, man. I'm really looking forward to it.
yeah, me too. And that one, yeah, may it hopefully will be good. I think. Yeah, we'll see.
Hmm.
But yeah, so they all went to film school, and film school like meant something. I guess this is the one
Hmm.
possible theory is like film school means nothing now, and if anything, it hurts you. I feel like to go to
Nah.
film school now. But
Yeah.
back then it
Exactly.
was like yeah, they were, and I wonder too if there's like standing on shoulders of giants kind of thing where yeah, like they were working with Roger Corman, and they're working
Hmm.
with just you can name all these or like the people they're looking up to like John Ford and like these like legends or and yeah, like either they didn't do that to the next generation or it just doesn't work the same as far as like being inspired by the previous generation.
Yeah, I remember one time Spielberg actually said he's like we are just doing a like carbon copy of like what the old guys what the old guys did. You know what I mean? Like he's like that's what basically our movies are just like we're we're just redoing what like the old Hollywood guys were doing. And I kind of think that I always kind of thought that maybe that speech in Jurassic Park where he talks about, or like Jeff Goldblum is like, all you did was you took one thing and you put it together, but you didn't earn the knowledge for yourself. And he goes on this whole spiel about that. I've always thought that was maybe Spielberg's like self critique of like their generation of like, no, we just took what others had done, like assembled it in a way. You know what I mean? Like I think that's like maybe a self critique. Spielberg's very kind of he's maybe a little bit even too introspective and self critical sometimes, and like I think maybe that the reason that's in the movie is because like
Yeah,
that's what he's was thinking about.
that's cool. That's like that could be a good little bit of a zinger or whatever to have him, yeah, have a little edge to the. It's fun to
Mhm.
think that he might like not like his peers' movies, which I don't think that's actually true, but maybe back in the day,
Yeah.
like I could pick like even if so. I don't know if we have one thing about Frank Miller in here. I kind of wonder about that about him too, but so a little
Mhm.
bit about like when you look
I was
back.
gonna say,
So or go
sorry, I
ahead.
was gonna say, I think Spielberg likes his peers' movies and he likes the movie, but I think he also he's like, no, no, the old guys were actually the real deal. Like we, we were just like postmodernist, like constructionist or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's my I'm cinema speculating, as I like Tarantino would say.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think I think that I think I'm onto something with it, but yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, Frank Miller.
Well, yeah,
Sorry to
so
step
and
on you.
definitely like the generation after Spielberg, that's like 100 it's true and it may be easy to see and he might have been seeing it when it's
Mm-hmm.
like harder to see. People still really like the movies and but yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
Frank Miller, he had kind of an interesting path as like a genius or whatever is he he kind of like continued to conquer the world a little bit. So he's like he does like the
Mm-hmm.
Daredevil run, kind of rises to the
Mm-hmm.
top and that was kind of like he was already the goat at that point. Then he does Dark Knight, and then he's like goat for that. Then he does like a few
Mm-hmm.
years of like collaborations and weird stuff. He does like Martha Washington. He does
Mm-hmm.
Wolverine with Claremont, and
Uh-huh.
uh, and then he does Sin City, which is like his third like conquering the world kind of thing. And that
Mm-hmm.
one's really artsy fartsy in a way. Like the art was super out there.
Yeah.
And I think I have funny memories about Sin City too. That one did break through to like people who weren't even reading comics were talking about it in when I was in college, which was
Yeah.
like 2005 or whatever. So it like that's 10 years
Mm-hmm.
after it was the first one was published, I guess. But um
Yeah, but before the movie came out, you were starting to see like other people like rip off Sin City. I forget, like there was like a commercial or a music video that like used that style and stuff, and like they almost like had to make the movie, before before they just stole everything, before that whole like black and white kind of I don't know what you even call that style. It's like photo negative or something. I don't know, but like that whole style like was starting to get pop culture was starting to steal it, and so I'm
yeah.
actually glad the movie kind of came out when it did, because but yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, like put a stamp on it, yeah. But yeah,
Hmm.
so I like Michael Jordan. So we're just talking about goats that conquer like
Hmm.
two or three times. So Michael Jordan, he just whatever he gets the championship and then retires early, plays baseball, then comes back, wins another championship. So it's kind
Yeah.
of like interesting that these people that are so good can do it multiple times in like different ways. And yeah, I kind of Spielberg's a little bit like that too, but it's at some point it
Hmm.
kind of maybe stopped. But he like Jurassic Park was so cool and it still holds up.
Hmm.
But you know what's crazy with AI? They're doing commercials now with they're using Jurassic Park, but it's the de-aged actors, and I'm like, okay, that's an interesting use of AI, where
Huh.
it's just like
Yeah.
it's just pernicious. It's just kind of out there and doesn't really stand out, but that's like, yeah, like using it to de-age actors, but only for advertisements. So now they have like uh Ian Holm or no, Ian, whatever, I forget his last name. He's like, yeah, like talk doing his lines from within Jurassic Park, but like selling toothpaste or something. I forget what the commercial is
Yeah.
about. But
Yeah. I know the show Ted. I haven't seen this episode, but apparently they used AI to make the guy look like Bill Clinton. And I saw the clip from it, and it looked pretty funny, but like looked like
nice.
pretty much like him. Yeah. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, that's when they were saying like, well, we tried the other ways and it wasn't working, so sorry we used AI.
mhm.
But I'm like, yeah, it works if you're trying to do that.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um. Okay, so we're kind of on the roll with a little bit of the Star Trek stuff, just barely getting into it really.
Sure.
But we can talk about that, and then
Okay.
we'll pivot to some other stuff if there's time. But so quick, like a couple things happen in succession. One thing is Andy Weir and Hail Mary comes out, big smash
Hmm.
hit. And actually, a funny like barometer is if my dad calls me and he's like, "Want to go see this movie?" That means it's that's a little sign.
Yeah.
So I did see it. I
Yeah.
saw it last weekend with my parents, and I enjoyed it a lot. But it did. I don't know. That's a movie I'd watch once and be like, "That was sweet," and then you never watch it again, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, but like kind of fun sci-fi too, as far as like I think it might be rated PG. I was thinking that's kind of cool because I noticed
Hmm.
a lot of parents bringing their kids, so they're onto something with that maybe with like PG.
Hmm.
People forget about that you can get families in there. Um, and but yeah, so Andy Weir, he did The Martian, and he's obviously this kind of smart sci-fi writer. Then he does an interview with Critical Drinker, and he's so that already is like kind of a good sign he's not into cancel culture or whatever. He'll talk to anyone, and
Yeah.
they start talking a little bit about Star Trek, and he says he pitched and how it's kind of gone downhill. And he says he pitched a new Star Trek to J.J. Abrams and those guys and Kurtzman and Ortsy or whatever, and they denied him. And he was joking, but he's like, "So screw them" or whatever. And he's like, "The new Star Trek sucks." And
Yeah.
then yeah, so from there everything kind of unspools. But there's this kind of funny tweet. So Fandom Pulse quoting, he says, Andy Weir about Star Trek. He goes, "All modern science fiction TV shows and movies have been heavily influenced by the original Star Trek, except for the current batch of Star Trek shows." And Roger Avery goes, "This is hilarious and totally true."
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there was one you were talking about was about Roddenberry. Let me see if I can find it. Uh, so there might be a couple regarding Roddenberry. Has there been a major creative idea contributed to the series in the last 38 years since Roddenberry was kicked out? All I can think of is the Borg, and Gene's semi-responsible for that as well. Um, yeah, so you might know more than me about Roddenberry. I know because I was like, what is his deal? The things I've heard is like he did Star Trek, and his thing was like, we're gonna do a future where everyone gets along, like humanity's all working together,
Hmm.
and that's gonna be the idea. It's and that's it. It's like a very simple idea. And
Hmm.
then I heard for the second one, what's the second one called? Uh,
The
Star
second
Trek.
Star Trek, like the Next
Yeah,
Generation, maybe. Okay.
yeah. The Next Generation. He was still kind of around
Hmm.
for that, and he was telling people no conflict with the cast. Everyone works together,
Hmm.
and they're like, "How do we write drama without conflict?" And that's
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of funny because I'm like in the first one, they sort of might have some, but they kind of stick more to that in the first one. They stick to it pretty easily, and I
Hmm.
really value that first show. I've seen all of those a couple, like maybe some of them twice. I haven't seen as much of the second one from the '90s, but that first one, the original Star Trek show, it's like really valuable to see an example of drama where the conflict is not like, oh, our two main characters are screaming at each other and they both want different things or whatever. It's like a lot of the Star
Yeah.
Trek conflict is like it's like the Doctor and Spock and Kirk, and they're all like, okay, we all want the same thing. And he's like, I think we should do it this way. I think we should do it this way. I think we should do it this way. So like they're still working together, and then they're like,
Hmm.
okay, here's how we'll do it. And then, but we're gonna need each of us to like contribute to pull this off. And I'm like, oh, they're like doing drama without like if you watch like compared to like Netflix slop or something where, yeah, like all of a sudden the characters are just screaming at each other because the writers
Yeah.
are like, oh yeah, we need conflict. That's a writer's rule. Every scene has to have conflict. So they're
Yeah. Are
doing
there
that.
are there like are they like petty and underhanded in a way that like you just go like, okay, like why would they be on a ship in space and like a kind of utopian future society? I always could like joke, but like that like the writers were like, oh man, Gene won't let us have drug dealers on the Enterprise, which like was what Harlan Ellison wanted to do, and like in City on the Edge of Forever was have some guy addicted to like dream crystals or something, and
Yeah.
Ron Berry like killed that, because he's like, nah, they wouldn't be like, this, and I actually think like to me like how about use your creativity, like that's like to me that's like actually a cool obstruction that you can't like resort to like having people be like backstabby or like you can't resort to just like standard drama. Yeah, in that tweet I wrote, about not contributing any major ideas to the series. It's like okay, somebody responded like that Section 31 was, and I have to admit I'm not that up on Next Generation or Deep Space Nine, but I know what Section 31 is, and I was like, okay, I mean, I will accept that that's like a major idea for the series, but I don't accept that that's a creative idea, really, because I think that's kind of a standard thing to do is like, ooh, a dark government agency. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of like almost basic in a way to do.
Yeah,
I mean, to
it's
have it.
almost like cliche, especially of the time,
Yeah,
like the exact same time the X-Files is out. And
exactly. Yes. Yeah, it's
then,
like the most basic thing you could ever take it. I get like why people may like that idea or whatever, but it's like pretty easy. It's pretty easy to do. So I'm not gonna I think it's pretty debatable if that's a creative idea, But like, yeah, I was just thinking because like, because I can't think of any like really. I don't watch the show. I mean I've watched uh, a lot of the Next Generation and Deep Space Nine, but I don't really count myself like an expert on it. Like I couldn't really answer trivia questions about it or anything. But but I just don't like I don't know if there's like that many like like okay, like Ron Berry created like Q, right? And like Q is like this godlike creature that can like I think it's Q, right? The
yeah,
guy who has like he has like the powers of a god, and they have to deal with the powers of a god. And like how do you deal with that? Like that to me is like a major thing to do. You know what I mean? And so I thought like the only thing I could really think of was the Borg, and the Borg are kind of like loosely based off of like V'ger, or like they kind of like it's almost like implied in like the Star Trek the motion picture, like when they're talking about machine planets and stuff, and you go, like, oh, is that the Borg? So like I don't know, but I actually wrote that tweet like sort of genuinely like curious if there was something I had missed that was like a major thing that like Star Trek had done in those like what is it 38 years or whatever that
yeah.
was like you know
And Q is actually pretty cool too, like conceptually, as far as
mm-hmm,
like it's anti Netflix conflict slop a little bit because
mm-hmm,
Q, it gets into a little bit like really well written Superman stories can be like this. It's
mm-hmm.
similar to Star Trek,
Yeah,
but when you have an overpowered character that could win easily, so then yeah, if the conflict is on a physical fight level, it doesn't even
mm-hmm,
work because they would just win immediately. So you have to build the
yeah.
conflict on like
Mm-hmm,
something other than that, which it becomes a lot more psychological, or it become like Q
mm-hmm.
has a personality and he has like he'll toy with them and stuff, and I don't know. But
Yeah, but I like I really like the stuff in Star Trek where it's like, how do you deal with this legitimately alien thing? You know what I mean? Like, like, how do you deal with that? Yeah, that's the stuff I like about it. And then also, it's like, the adventure stuff is cool too. But yeah, I'm a big fan of like the first two seasons of the original series, and I like the movies, and that's kind of where I kind of like. After that, I start to kind of zone out.
yeah,
I liked First Contact and yeah, that's Next Generation movie First Contact's pretty good, and so like yeah,
yeah,
that's kind of all I need.
yeah. Me too. Kind of. I tried to get into Next Generation. They're gonna hate me in the
Mhm.
chat, but yeah, I didn't. Still haven't
Yeah,
fully
sorry
taken.
guys. Yeah, yeah.
I've only
Uh,
seen like a handful of eps, and I skipped ahead
uh,
and watched the Borg one that's famous,
mhm,
the two-parter.
mhm,
And that was cool. But yeah, but one of the things I love the original. So it's like almost like one of my favorite shows or things or whatever. But I think
mhm.
another thing about it is Kirk, just how freaking cool Kirk is. And I mean Spock is
Yeah.
fucking awesome and the
Mhm,
doctor's cool. But or Bones, yeah. But Kirk is like
mhm.
the greatest. He is so awesome.
Yeah.
And and Jean-Luc Picard is cool too. but I think Kirk's better. So it's a cool idea to like have the idea of like a ship captain and how he has to be like the ultimate leader and what that means, and exploring that a little bit is just in its
Hmm.
own. That's a great idea for a. Actually, I heard. Have you heard people compare Master and Commander to Star Trek? Have you ever heard that?
Yeah. Well, no, I actually, I mean, I think I made that comparison one time, but it's not surprising. But yeah, because like I
Yeah,
always thought like when they said they were going to do new Star Trek, I thought, oh, it'll be like they could do it like Master and Commander in space, like it could be like that, like and but no, they they went for more like Star Trek, the Pepsi generation. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
am I break if I break it up? Okay. I,
No, no, I got you. That's hilarious though. Yeah.
okay.
That's
Yeah.
what JJ Abrams, yeah, like it was
Um,
kind of we got that, and now that's like a time capsule because that was like the Tude or whatever, like the 2010 whatever it was.
yeah.
And so now it's like, okay, maybe we can go back, maybe we'll see culturally what even happens, but I have like it's funny, like Tarantino wrote a Star Trek script. Andy
Hmm.
Weir had a Star Trek script. Everyone loves Star Trek. All these like celebrities, they're like, yeah, I got one in my back pocket. I got a Star
Yeah.
Trek script. And it's like, yeah, we
Mhm.
know the formulas, we know what works. And it's like Master and Commander in space. Like, yeah, imagine if
Mhm.
the captain on a Star Trek uh movie was played by Russell Crowe in his prime. Like how fucking sweet
Yeah.
would that be? But
Yeah.
but yeah, Master and Commander, it's like the same thing. It's like how cool can we make the captain, and his relationship with his
Mhm.
like first mate is like badass. And then yeah, the
Mhm.
conflict of like the battle of wits between the other captain who you never see, but
Mhm.
like that is all really cool stuff. And that's when I've heard people also be like, "Ah, it's a shame we didn't get more Master and Commander movies because there's like 10 of them of the books or whatever."
Mhm.
Um but
Yeah.
yeah.
It really when they started doing the new Star Trek, it really was like kind of like killed the idea that thing could ever be adult. You know what I mean? For adult, like because like before there was this kind of idea of like, oh, okay, Star Trek is kind of a little more adult. It's like because it's a little more like about uh, I don't know, concept, science concepts, or like science fiction kind of. And then like when the J.J. Abrams like Star Trek movie came out, and it was just all like spectacle and like like peril and cliffhangers and just constantly, it was like, oh, okay, this is like this is like ended that kind of like, I don't know. There was something kind of pleasantly sober about the about the
Yeah,
previous Star Treks. That's like
that's
that was
true.
just
Yeah.
gone. Yeah.
Cause yeah, my friend's parents watched it when I was a kid and I didn't watch it. And if it was on TV, I didn't get it until later.
Hmm.
And it was like it was a litmus test. Even in like college, you'd meet fellow artists or whatever, and it would be, it's like, are you into Star Trek or Star Wars? And
Hmm.
so many say Star Wars, so it'd be kind of rare if you meet a Star Trek guy. And
Hmm.
I know I met a few of them, and they're like, those were the guys you want to talk to. And I
Hmm.
only found that out later because I kind of switched sides a little bit,
Hmm.
like after all that. And then yeah, what they do is they kind of made J.J. Abrams just made Star Trek, Star Wars. It's like all he
Yeah,
did.
pretty much. Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah,
so
it's a.
they totally left that other thing uh behind. But yeah, it's still
Mhm.
there. Like I feel like people they could just grab it. Like I don't know how culture works as far as like the sine wave of like the pendulum swinging, like, and is it like, no, it's gone forever, or will some of this stuff come back? I don't know. I don't know. I
I
have
just
like a little bit of
yeah,
both.
that all depends. Yeah, it really just like it depends on like corporate politics, and if like somehow talented people get in and are able to have some kind of control over, or they're able to do something with it. It's just like who knows. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of like a paranoid audience, and then it's like it's kind of like double filtered through marketing because they know they could
Hmm.
appeal. So and you worry like so yeah, you worry about that. Like if they're like, guess what? We are giving Andy Weir the green light on a Star Trek. And you're
Hmm.
like, oh, sweet. And then like, yeah, so
Hmm.
we're all in. And then they're like, but we wrote everything at the last second, or I don't know what they do.
Yeah. Yeah. But
But
also,
yeah,
also too, like I remember Star Trek, like uh, previously had been like considered like relatively cheap. Like those movies are like, like those are pretty like cheap movies for, and then like, so like now they're pumping all this money into it, with all these like effects and stuff. So it's like, I don't know, it might, maybe, this is like a almost like unheard of, but it would almost be better if they kind of scaled down a little bit. You know what I mean? If they
Yeah.
just like,
They're
how,
they're
what do
like
you,
stage plays almost. The
yeah,
yeah, Star Trek.
exactly.
They like they
Hmm.
take place on the bridge and
Yeah. And then they'll go to like an alien planet, and then there's maybe like an effect sequence or something. It's like it's not like constant
yeah. Actually,
noise.
I wrote down a few. I don't have it in front of me, but of trying to like find that Star Trek formula, and it is useful and
Hmm.
it's kind of interesting. But yeah, it's like a lot of the best episodes. They did this thing where you get an A plot and a B plot, and like, and I don't even know which one's which, but one plot is they have to go to the surface of a planet and take care of some business. So the away team
Hmm.
beams down, and then the other plot is there's some shit happening on the ship while it's in orbit, and they usually have a ticking clock, like they're losing orbit and they're going to burn up in the atmosphere or whatever. They've
Hmm.
lost their engines. They only have like 2 days, blah, blah, blah. So the bottom team has to solve it. So that was always awesome when they did that. I'm like, okay, you could just do that and you'd have, if you're like, all right, let's do a new Star Trek thing right now. And then the other thing they do is, they do a cool like structure where um, it's like an escalating structure where it starts with a task at hand. So it's like captain's log. We're
Hmm.
here to shipping food because they had a crop fail
Yeah.
because of a solar flare. Blah blah blah. And
Hmm.
then there's an escalation to a mystery where something goes wrong, but you don't know what it is yet. So then they're investigating. So
Hmm.
escalation to mystery, investigation, then like yeah, commercial or whatever. And then they answer the mystery, but it's only like halfway through the episode or 2/3. They solve the
Hmm.
mystery, so now they know what the threat is. The investigation part is over. Now it's suspense, and
Yeah.
then that's kind of suspense action climax. They deal with it, and then they always have the denouement at the end where they banter together for like one
Yeah.
minute. And
Yeah.
like, oh, you got to have the banter at the end. That's like the best part. And Columbo
Hmm.
did that too. Columbo always ends with banter. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah.
so
Those are pretty great. But what I
yeah,
did? I when they did the restored version or whatever it is, but when they do like added digital effects to the old Star Trek episodes, I wasn't really a fan of that because I like the way that like the old episodes kind of have this quality of like they're almost remind me of like Mario Bava horror films. Like they're a little like they're like scary looking in a way. Like when when they approach a planet with the old effects, like the planet looks kind of sinister, and like when they cleaned it up for with the new like restored editions or whatever, it just looked a little. It was like it made it a little more campy than it needed to be. You know what I mean? Like it looked a little too bright. But
yeah,
like when I would see those episodes on TV as a kid, it was like, oh man, they're going to some scary planet. Like and now
yeah.
but now
I would
like
really
when
want to
they
see the original if I was rewatching. I wouldn't want to watch an
mhm.
updated. It's like
No,
yeah, that's almost like a
I don't
worst
recommend
of
those at
both
all.
worlds thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um.
yeah. I think that I think they. I suspect. I kind of weirdly think they maybe were like even deliberately trying to make it look stupid, like just as a way of like how they like it's some sort of weird like self sabotage thing that like these companies do sometimes with their old properties. Like no, this
Oh
is
yeah.
old. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I mean that's just a theory. That's
Yeah.
speculating.
You could just
But
picture like the guy, the executive. He's like, "I'll do it
yeah.
myself. I'll just do it over the weekend."
Yeah.
It's like nobody cares about this anyway. Just do it fast. Here's $20
Yeah.
or whatever. Can we hire some like some overseas 10-year-olds
Mhm.
just learning Blender to do it or whatever? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have two things here to like juxtapose to continue. There's still a little bit to dig in on this a little bit.
Mhm.
Is so William Shatner himself, who's great on Twitter, also getting up there
Yeah.
in age. And I
Yeah.
sometimes wonder, like, I worry about him maybe forgetting, like, hijacked the way Stan Lee was in his last few years, where
Yeah.
he,
Whereas like elder abuse, yeah, it's crazy.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's almost like similar to like the way Britney Spears or something, where you like have a handler,
Right.
they're, yeah, you can't go anywhere without them, and they're running your accounts and blah blah blah, and yeah,
Yeah, they have
like
these
with
mysterious
Shatner,
handlers. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like,
Sorry,
is
go ahead.
Shatner? I'm like, Shatner, watch out for that or something. But he
Hmm.
goes, he's always out there chit chatting, and he's like, I don't know if you say he's like a centrist or something. He's like, but by today's
Hmm.
standards, centrist would be like borderline far right or so. Um,
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
yeah, but he's cool, and so yeah, here's a quote from him though. He says, Star Trek mirrored social issues of the time. The issue, I believe, is that many people see political issues as social issues and vice versa. This is like today. And this is a lot of people saying, Star Trek has always been political. It's supposed to be political. Why are people complaining? Because this is another thing. So he says that. This is something
Mm.
Andy Weir said. I'll try and read it kind of fast here, but he goes, I
All right.
dislike social commentary. Like, I really hate it. When I'm reading a book, I just want to be entertained, not preached at by the author. Plus, it ruins the wonder of the story if I know the author has a political or social axe to grind. I no longer speculate about all the possible outcomes of the story because I know for a fact that the universe of the book will conspire to ensure that the author's political agenda is validated. So yeah, we can kind of
Mm.
leave it at that. And so that I feel like that's awesome for one. But yeah, then of course all people are like, oh, I hate Andy Weir, and some people are like, I love him. I feel like you and me are probably more pro. Do you have any thoughts before I go in? So that's so far I've read everything, but
No, I just you were talking about we're talking about these people aging, and I always resent now that like we couldn't get more old Star Trek movies with like the Shatner and like that cast because like at the time everybody said they were too old. Oh, they're too old. They're too old. They're getting so old. There's a joke about it in The Simpsons. Oh, they're so old. And it's like,
yeah,
yeah, now I've got to watch. Now I've got to watch like Arnold's dusty old ass like pretend to be Conan again. Like it's like you know what I mean. Like
yeah,
I couldn't get more. I couldn't get more Shatner movies because like and they were like you watch like the last ones they did and they were pretty spry still. They could have like even like aging was kind of the theme of those movies. And like and now it's like now it's almost like kind of embarrassing to like see some of these uh, you know uh, these people who are like 78 and
yeah,
like Arnold's gonna try and be Conan again. It's like no, it's like yeah, so it's a I
yeah.
just
Isn't that
that
part
irony is annoying.
that yeah, and that's like part of Wrath of Khan. I think is like Shatner's like old now. He might take the
Hmm.
commission as working in the administration and off the ship or whatever, and
Yeah.
he's like 50 or something,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
that's
exactly. Yeah.
That's like young, yeah, by today's standards.
It,
That's like
it
Timothy
is.
Chalamet's almost 50, I swear. Like he's 30, I
Yeah.
guess. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, DiCaprio's like 50 or he's like DiCaprio's
Hmm.
60. I don't know. These people like so
Exactly.
yeah, that would have been we need more. Yeah, we lost it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so
I always loved the way in like the last couple of movies it was like the old gang going on one last hurrah or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it was all like they were about to decommission the Enterprise. But it's like let's get the Enterprise and go. Like we gotta go do this. And it's like I always thought that was really cool. But now
yeah.
all right.
Yeah. Yeah, so one thing is William Shatner saying this, I don't fully understand what the hell this means. But it's PC. I think maybe social issues in the '60s is like
Hmm.
obvious stuff that doesn't even count as having an agenda because it's so
Yeah.
like normal.
Hmm.
Like, as Gene Roddenberry saying, we should all get along. And the
Yeah.
future, like, let's think of a picture of bright future. What does that look like? You're like, oh yeah, no war. He's like, yep. I'm like, no famine. He's like, yep, that one too.
Hmm.
And again, that's
Yeah.
actually kind of cool of Gene Roddenberry too. It's like
Hmm.
it's not like he's like, I'm gonna blow your mind because I took acid and some crazy sci-fi concepts. He's like, what if in the future no one fights?
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny too. I mean, when you talk about like the Star Trek being political, I mean, like I think really the closest it came to being political is probably like the third season, which is pretty weak. Like it's the third season of the original series. And that's like and even that was like they had like anti-hippie episodes. You know what I mean? And but like yeah, it's like the weak season is the one that's like the most political where they have the guys who were like half black, half white fighting each other, and it's like racism is bad. It's like that's not even really political. That's just like yeah, that is social. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
and it's like so it's like yeah, it's sort of yeah. When these people say political, they just mean yeah, like it being some kind of weird harangue about I don't know. whatever commie crap they believe in. You know.
Yeah, it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
political in this context, this modern way they use it is more like, yeah, it gets like more like specific and more like what I want versus what you want, or gimme, 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 gimme kind of stuff. Or
Yeah, I mean, the function really should be to be dramatic, to be dramatically interesting, and to hopefully like to hit on something that's like interesting for drama, and not
yeah,
like yeah. I mean, the Andy Works one is right. Like what immediately by somebody's politics, like what the ending will, you know what I mean? Like it's not going to surprise you with anything or hit or have any kind of like what I would
yeah,
call like artistic contradictions or something. It's like it's just a yeah, it's just like okay, I agree with this, great,
yeah.
or
I've
go
heard
ahead. I'm
Chuck
sorry.
Dixon call it like the invisible hand of the writer. I think he used that term.
Hmm.
I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. See, if you sense that, then you like relax and you enjoy it because you're like, okay, there is no agenda and we are dealing with like anything can happen, and I need
Mm.
to like see what's. And yeah, like that's a fun thing about art. There, it can take you like you can have like liberals writing like kind of based stuff when that's happening. Like
Hmm.
maybe Andy Weir might be a little bit like that, and Stephen King can be like that. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, and vice versa ish. I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Uh,
Oh, you broke up over.
oh yeah, I don't know. I kind of lost my train of
There you
thought.
go.
I don't know. So
Oh no, okay.
uh,
Yeah, but it's like when it becomes political, it's like people. It becomes your dramatic. Like it's people behaving in a way that a human being maybe or is based solely off them being like a archetype or something. Or it's not. It's like they're not behaving like a human being would behave in a or having like a normal human being's thoughts. It's like
yeah.
Pauline Kael talked about this with like women's pictures, where she said that like the problem with like the women's pictures in the '70s was that like they were programmatic and they told you how women should they told women how they should feel rather than like or about how they did feel about things. Like this is how you should feel about it, and that's kind of the problem. That's to me like the issue. It's like this is how you should feel rather than how people actually feel about like yeah, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and like so this is funny. Infinite says Star Trek was always political. They had an American and a Russian on the same bridge during the height of the Cold War. And that's I'm like, okay, is that like a social issue the way Shatner's talking about it here? Or the other thing is like imagine like a weird YouTuber reaction to that if that was a thing. We're like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god, they put a Russian and American together. Like this is so whatever. Screw this. Don't boycott it. Don't watch it." Because we hate the Russians, or yeah, that's kind of hard
Yeah.
to imagine. I don't know. It feels like I want to give it a pass. Is like that's cool, like whatever what they're doing there. But
Yeah.
the first
I always
interracial
just thought.
kiss, that one's funny. Real quick, so
Sorry.
the first interracial kiss, I've heard multiple people say this and mention it, and I started watching it, and I was like, okay, let me see about this first interracial kiss. It's out here somewhere. I wonder what
Mhm.
episode that will be in, and that might be one that's season 3. I forget, but what it is, I don't know if you remember. It's kind of funny. I was like, wait, that was it? And it's where Uhura and Kirk they get like kidnapped by this like mind control alien
Yeah.
guy. And then he
Uh,
uses them as puppets and makes them kiss, even though they don't want to. And Kirk's like, I'm
yeah.
so sorry. And she's like, I'm sorry. And they're forced to kiss each other.
Yeah.
I'm like, that is
Well,
not, you
yeah.
do not want to hold that up as like the first interracial kiss, like in a
Yeah.
perfect example or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, that is true. Like they did have like oh, there's a Russian on the bridge. Although like didn't Chekhov like come in like way later into the series. Like he's like I was actually surprised that he was like barely in any of the original episodes. But uh,
Yeah.
I think that was like yeah, it's sort of political, I guess. But it's to me that's more like wow, in the future we won't even be at war with Russia. Like but then like they also create like the Klingon Empire, which is kind of in a way like this,
Oh, yeah.
like
They're like the Russians.
yeah, in a
Yeah.
way they were like the Russians. It was like this block, what they call like Eastern Bloc or what. But yeah, it's so I don't know. I mean, it's I guess you could. I personally don't see that as like very political. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, it's this future world where we're like we're not at war with Russia at all, and we even have a Russian on the bridge. You know, it's like, uh,
Yeah. You know, and yeah, I think you're right. It was later they brought him in. You know what was
hmm
weird is the pilot for the original Star Trek. It's like Pike
hmm
is the captain,
yeah, Captain
and
Pike,
then
yeah.
it's like Kirk, and maybe it's inexplicably. I'm trying to remember. And Pike becomes part of the world building. He's like another captain out there. Maybe he's a little older than Kirk. I can't
hmm
remember, but I don't even know how that all went down. How if there's a story behind the scenes with that? Do you know anything?
No, I really don't know about. I just, you know, I know that those kind of changes in the, you know, from pilot episode to series happen all the time. That they just like, okay, we got to recast. We're gonna recast this actor. You know, it's just we don't want this. We want this, and you know, it's like I think that's just kind of cool that they rework the pilot into like canon or whatever if that's what they did. But yeah, I'm not the biggest expert on that.
Yeah. Yeah, what is Alex says Shatner, like all old liberals, conflates regular social issues with modern radical leftist politics. Yeah. Explain that. I think I might know what you're saying, but are you saying like there are things that it doesn't even feel political because you kind of take it for granted? That's what we're talking about with Roddenberry. It's like kind of simple, like, oh yeah, no war.
Mm.
Like for it would be kind of weird for like leftists to try and claim that almost like a future
Mhm.
where everyone gets along and they're like, that's us. You want war. Your side wants war. We want peace. And I don't know. Sometimes the other side saying that, I don't know. Everyone's trying to claim they're
Yeah.
the anti-war guys. I don't
Yeah.
know.
You know, I always found Star Trek too, like the stuff that people like really make fun of about it, almost all happens in the third season. Like that's like when they start like talking to like Abraham Lincoln and stuff like that. You know,
Yeah.
you know, like all the really goofy stuff like kind of happens in the third season. Like even Shatner's acting, like when they make fun of Shatner's acting, it's like mostly they're making fun of his third season is acting in the third season where he gets a lot more like you know, a lot more
Yeah.
like
Boom.
comedy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah, but those in the first two seasons, he's great. I think those first two seasons are just awesome. Like,
Yeah. Here's what he says. Look, whites and blacks getting along.
oh
See,
yeah,
Star Trek was always political.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that was kind of like really like small D Democrat like values. I mean, most people like, or not most people, but like a lot of people had. You know, was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. And that's a situation now we talked about last time, but it's almost like for the what do they call it? Like the Overton window or like the relativity of politics. It's like the the
Mhm.
70s, 60s, 70s Democrat. Well, I guess if you go far back, then Democrats were like KKK. So I don't know, but
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
the liberal back
um,
then is like nowadays would be more based or more right wing or whatever. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, they would be considered like they'd be like Nazis, you know, like you know,
yeah,
yeah, to like the modern like left.
yeah. Ghostfish here. Even if it always was political, it needs more than just politics to be good. People who want everything to be political often want things to conform to their worldview. Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, that's
It's kind
true.
of fun to I don't know, even have be challenged or yeah, just what it's the best is yeah, just if it's entertaining and you don't sense that weird hand of like knowing
Mhm.
what's going to happen and they're trying to actually yeah, I wonder if it's almost like you can sense it's not even about the audience, it's like about the creators a lot of times who are doing it where
Mhm.
you sense their insecurities and their weirdness and hangups and that ruins it
Yeah.
more than like, oh, they're doing something that I disagree with and that's making me feel bad. It's like you're more just like, oh, this guy has issues and he's making
Mhm.
a bad
Yeah,
movie or
it
a bad
sucks. It stinks. Yeah,
yeah.
like I'll give you an example. Like Oliver Stone's JFK is a movie I don't agree with at all, and I think it's like brilliant. It's like a kind of a masterpiece, but like I don't agree with like I maybe agree with like 20% of what it's saying, and I think it's actually if you step back and look at it, it's like really funny because like everyone who like everyone who has any kind of degree of common sense in that movie is just totally vilified, but
He,
is in terms of like filmmaking and drama and being like fascinating, being an interesting movie. It's like great. It's an amazing movie. It's just not. I don't think it's true. Or I think
Yeah.
very little of it's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's awesome.
a
I
lot of
haven't
them are
seen that
still
one.
good.
I gotta watch that one. Now that's a good.
Oh yeah.
There's still a few
I'm actually
classics
curious
I've missed
how.
on.
Yeah, I'm curious how like a modern person would react to JFK because it's been sort of like picked clean. Like the style of it was really radical at the time, and now like everybody kind of uses the style for like even History Channel documentaries kind of like ape JFK, um, but yeah, I'm curious like if a person like if someone who didn't see wasn't around when it came out, like how it would play to them. But yeah, it's a really good movie. I like it. It's just saying something kind of specious and it's nutty. It's a nutty movie.
Yeah, and that could be
like it a lot.
cool though. Yeah, that could be sweet.
Yeah. No, it's like
Cool. We have
it's it's artistically made, I guess is what I'm saying. Yeah, it's like dramatically conceived. It's not just this harangue. I don't know. It's hard to describe. But yeah, sorry.
nice.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I will watch that one, and maybe that's no. So I got to go here in a second, but yeah,
Okay, sure.
for like a little outro, we're trying to keep these to an hour, and yeah, we blew through that one.
Okay.
There's like more.
Yeah, we did.
But
Yeah.
if you're interested in we should do it again in like another 3 weeks or a month or whatever. Keep a
Yeah,
little
just
series going.
send me a message and
We need
yeah,
what we
sure.
need is this. Now we got like your headphones, your mic, your camera.
Yeah.
I do want to do like an intro. We could like one day we could like have a little name for do it as like an actual show or whatever. But it is good to having these discussions on the channel. There's a little audience for it. We got 10 people watching and stuff.
Okay. All right.
But and some people catch it after the fact. But this was a good one because it was focused on Star Trek, which is kind of interesting, and it's of the moment of the discourse right now. So I hope people check it out too if you haven't after the fact. So yeah, just hang out after I close for just a second with chat behind the scenes for
Sure.
just a second. And
All right.
Chat, thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out.
Yeah, thanks.
And yeah, everyone hanging out. Infinite has one going out. It's funny. Whenever someone says we need a Star Trek future, I like to bring up the 1990s eugenic wards will be needed. Is that like the lore of Star Trek? Is like that's again like we hit rock bottom. Apparently, like before everything got really good, they got really really bad. Trust me. And you're like, if we haven't done that, or we're in the process now, or something.
Yeah, isn't that how Khan was created? Like, was he part of the eugenic ward? I don't remember. I'm not that well versed in the history of Star Trek lore, but I think Khan was part of that.
Yeah, and actually, the Khan episode is awesome because there's a movie.
Yeah,
but the movie's like a sequel to one of the episodes. Yeah, and that episode is super.
Yeah.
But okay, all right. I'm gonna click the button here. Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Getting